I'm joined once again by Oakland Mayor Sheng Thao, and you took a trip to Seattle to the All-Star festivities, met with Rob Manfred, MLB's power players. How did all of that come together, and how did you keep it a secret?
Absolutely. Well, I reached out to the commissioner myself and requested a meeting, and he did agree that to the meeting. And so I flew out to Seattle this past Sunday, where he was at for the All-Stars game. And so we did have a meeting. It was an hour-long meeting because I felt it was important, right? It's incredibly important to meet with the commissioner in person, given the importance of this upcoming vote by his relocation committee.
Did you feel that he understood what you were telling him? Because in his previous statements, it was clear to me, at least, that he didn't quite understand the deal. So when you presented it to him, the actual information, you brought the receipts, did it seem like it sunk in?
I do believe that it was a fair receiving of the information. We did spend that hour discussing, some deal points. I won't go into the private meeting itself, but, this decision isn't just about business. How they vote, the relocation committee, will have lasting impacts on multi-generational fan base of, I want to be very clear, working families who love this game and have a deep connection to baseball and the A's in Oakland. And so, I think that anybody would want to fight for their team. And this is me showing my fight for my team, but not just that, but fighting for the working families, the A's fans that have been going to these games with their grandpas and fathers and grandmothers. And, so it was very important for me to, before somebody took a very consequential vote, that the commissioner and every MLB owner have all the facts. And so when we did go to Seattle, I brought 31 copies of all of our plans and everything, so that there was no miscommunication, no misconception of what was actually proposed and not proposed.
Do you feel that he has in some way been a little misled by the information he's been provided by the A's? I know the A's asked you not to reach out directly during negotiations, but do you feel like they were giving a fair representation of what was actually on the table in Oakland before you actually showed up with the real deal?
I can't speak for them. They didn't, it wasn't a conversation around whether or not certain details were shared or not. I presented him with a document with the summary and negotiation timeline, along with the detailed summary of the terms. And again, he was given the copies of all the reports. My main goal was to make sure that he received it, that if he had any questions about it, those questions were answered, and that to make sure that those copies were given to not only the relocation committee, but also to the owners as well, too, as they're making these decisions. I do know that, there were questions, but I can't say there was questions that were posed for us, and we did answer those questions, and these questions were around the terms. And so, again, it's important for him and the members of the committee to know how close we were to a deal here in the city of Oakland, and how close we still are if they are willing to open that window.
Now, I know that the notes that you brought, the documents were substantial. You had to wheel them in, and I heard you even left the dolly in there with them to help distribute. So are you confident that they will actually get distributed to the owners, or are you sending some email copies as well to be extra safe?
Well, we are hopeful that they will be given to the relocation committee. That is part of the process of the relocation committee. And so I am pretty optimistic that the relocation committee will receive the information that we have presented. In regards to the owners themselves, we're going to do our due diligence. We will be sending via email as well, too. But all of this information is now on our website, and it is made public to anybody who would like to review.
Now, I know you'd like A's owner John Fisher to come back to the table. You've said you'd pick up that phone call, and I'm sure you expressed that to Commissioner Manfred, and I know you can't speak for him or for A's ownership for that matter. I don't know anyone that can at this point, but is it some inclination that he may come back to the table? Did Rob Manfred suggest maybe he would like to see that happen, or is that just fully and only on A's ownership at this point?
Again, I want to respect that it was a private meeting. However, just like what was stated out in public from the commissioner himself, is that, it is a decision of the owner, and it's John Fisher. And so, we're hopeful that, we can come back to the negotiation in true partnership and really move forward in the values of keeping the Oakland A's here in Oakland.
Just general sense, just for people like me that weren't there, that would love to have been a fly on the wall. As you went into the meeting, what was the tone like? As you left, what was the tone like? Was it an overall positive experience for you and everybody involved?
We had a pretty good meeting. It was really respectful. And again, there was a lot of sharing of information. And so, there wasn't, if you're, what I can say for sure is there wasn't at any point any yelling at each other. It was really respectful, and there was, information was exchanged and well received. And, and so I would say overall it was a good meeting.
And based on his willingness, I mean, this was a very, very busy time for the MLB commissioner and deputy commissioner All-Star week. And this came together pretty quickly. It seemed like this was something that he was very willing, if not eager to do. Does that at least speak to the seriousness of the situation and the level at which he's actually taking Oakland? Because it seems to me like the far easier option for him in Major League Baseball is to figure this out here and not leave the A's off wherever they will be for the next 3 to 4 years if they end up in Las Vegas.
In my opinion, I think you're absolutely right that it is the better decision for multiple different reasons to make sure that the Oakland A's are here in Oakland. And I personally believe that it would make it less of a headache for the commissioner himself as well too. However, in this meeting, I know that it was a very busy time. It was the All-Star game. I did not want to take away from any of the festivities, but I do appreciate that he was willing to take the meeting. This is our first time meeting and speaking to each other. As there was a request from John Fisher that I not reach out to Manfred as we were going through the negotiations. And so I wanted to be a woman of my word, and we made sure that that was the case. But now we are here today. And so, again, it was a really respectful conversation.
And I want to be respectful of your time too. So I have one last question. What is next? I mean, what happens next? I know we have to worry about relocation committees and decisions like that, but what are your next steps in this process? What can you do, if anything?
Well, if you know my track record, I hold those cards very close to my heart. But I'm going to continue to fight. And, and I want to talk to the Oakland A's fans out there for a minute, if you don't mind, that I am so proud of all of the Oakland A's fans. I'm proud of Oaklanders and beyond, and, to keep it going, to keep going. We're fighting this fight together. I heard all of the chants during the games and what have you. And so just know that your mayor is working for you. And so we're going to continue to fight until there are shovels actually in the ground.
Yeah, it's hard to ignore what A's fans are doing right now. It's important for them to have a champion in you. And this process doesn't feel like it's anywhere near over. Rob Manfred seemingly leaving the door open for Oakland. And I know you're an optimist and you want to keep pushing those doors and windows open. So let's see what happens next.